They say curiosity opened it, unleashing every evil. But the truth about Pandora's box is far darker than we've ever been told. For thousands of years, we've heard the same story. A woman opens a box, and suffering floods the world. But here's what no one wants you to realize. Pandora's box wasn't just a cautionary tale. It was a weapon crafted to control how people think about knowledge, rebellion, and power. Tonight, the curtain lifts on the forbidden truth behind history's most dangerous myth. The story begins not with Pandora, but with an act of rebellion that shook the very foundations of divine power. When Prometheus stole fire from the gods, he wasn't just grabbing a torch. Fire represented knowledge, wisdom, the spark of divinity itself. Zeus wasn't angry about theft. He was terrified that humans were becoming too much like gods. Consequently, Zeus devised the perfect revenge, not just against Prometheus, but against all of humanity. He commanded Hephaestus to create a woman so devastatingly beautiful that no man could resist her allure. Aphrodite gave her beauty. Hermes bestowed cunning. Hera cursed her with a consuming curiosity. Each gift wasn't random. It was ammunition. Together they built not a blessing, but the perfect destroyer. Every trait was designed to transform her into the perfect destroyer. Zeus didn't name her Pandora by accident. All gifted also means all giving, and she would give humanity exactly what Zeus wanted them to receive: eternal suffering wrapped in irresistible temptation. The container itself wasn't just any box. It was sealed with divine power and crammed with horrors specifically chosen to break the human spirit. This wasn't a test of morality, it was a trap built into her very design. When Pandora's trembling hands finally broke that divine seal, she didn't just release evil into the world. She unleashed something that would spread across every future civilization. The air filled with horrific hissing as nightmares poured forth like smoke from hell itself. Sickness, death, hatred, envy, war, famine, every conceivable form of human anguish escaped in a torrent of darkness. But here's where the story reveals its most sinister twist. When Pandora slammed the lid shut in terror, one final prisoner remained trapped inside: hope. Was this an accident, a moment of divine mercy? Not at all. Hope was the most brilliant curse Zeus ever invented. Not a gift, but sedation, the drug that kept humanity enduring chains they could have broken. Why would a god bent on human destruction include hope in his box of horrors? Because Zeus understood something about human nature that tyrants still use today. Desperate people rebel, hopeless people fight back, yet hopeful people endure any suffering as long as they believe salvation might come. As a result, hope became humanity's invisible chains. No matter how brutally they were oppressed, no matter how unfair their circumstances, hope whispered that if they just suffered quietly, obeyed completely, maybe the gods would show mercy. Zeus didn't want to destroy humanity, he wanted to control it forever. However, Pandora wasn't alone in this ancient conspiracy. Scan the mythologies of the world, and her story appears everywhere, wearing different faces but telling the identical narrative. Why does every culture have the same pattern? Woman seeks forbidden knowledge, humanity falls from grace. Eve bites the apple, and paradise is lost. Lilith refuses submission and becomes the mother of demons. In Norse mythology, Loki's shifting nature brings about Ragnarok. This isn't a coincidence. This is the same story planted across continents and centuries. Across cultures, the pattern repeats. Woman seeks forbidden truth, humanity pays the price. A timeless warning against rebellion, curiosity, and female power. Furthermore, the story of Pandora became humanity's first mind virus, spreading across cultures to create the ultimate control tool. It plants three deadly ideas: that curiosity leads to catastrophe, that questioning authority brings divine punishment, and that women with power are inherently dangerous. Every time someone challenges the status quo, Pandora's ghost whispers the warning about what happened last time someone sought forbidden knowledge. What's more, the real forbidden knowledge was never in the box. The deepest secret is understanding how this story has been used to keep people small, compliant, and afraid of their own potential. The gods weren't terrified of what was in Pandora's container. They were terrified of humans realizing they had the power to open any door, seek any truth, challenge any authority. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what comes next will shatter how every myth, every religion, every system of control gets viewed. For thousands of years, those who crave power have used Pandora's story as a skeleton key to human control. But why has this particular myth survived when countless others have been forgotten? Because it doesn't just explain suffering, it prevents revolution. The story creates a perfect mental prison with 3 unbreakable walls. First, it plants terror of consequences, warning that seeking dangerous truths will bring catastrophic punishment not just on the seeker, but on everyone they love. Second, it provides convenient blame. When people suffer, they blame original sin or human weakness instead of the systems that crush them. Third, it builds gender barriers by forever linking female curiosity with destruction. Indeed, every tyrant, every oppressive regime, every corrupt institution has echoed Pandora's warning about not asking questions that shouldn't be asked, not seeking knowledge that wasn't meant to be found. Yet here's the most forbidden truth of all: the box was never actually locked. The only thing preventing anyone from opening every container, seeking every secret, and challenging every authority is the story itself. As a result, humanity has been imprisoned not by divine decree, but by a myth that convinced people to chain themselves. The real evil wasn't what escaped from Pandora's jar. It was the idea that curiosity should be feared, that power should be avoided, that unlimited potential to change everything should be suppressed. Pandora may have been born in Hesiod's verses, but the idea of a divine container of suffering wasn't unique to Greece. Across civilizations, myths echo the same chilling theme: humanity punished for daring to reach too high. In Mesopotamia, the gods crafted vessels filled with plagues and loosed them upon humanity whenever mortals grew too ambitious. In the Atrahasis epic, disease, famine, and flood weren't random acts of nature. They were punishments, deliberately unleashed to keep humans in their place. Babylonian jars of pestilence served the same symbolic role as Pandora's container: divine fire extinguishing human progress. Travel east to Egypt, and you'll find gods using sealed objects not as gifts, but as weapons. Ancient texts speak of cursed chests containing the dismembered remains of Osiris, scattered to weaken both gods and men. In India, the Vedas describe cosmic vessels of illusion and ignorance, crafted by the Devas to keep mortals blinded to their true divine essence. The theme repeats with unsettling consistency: sealed containers that carry not blessings, but restraints. Why did so many cultures choose the same symbol? Because a box, a jar, a vessel is the perfect metaphor for power and control. It promises mystery, teases possibility, but ultimately delivers containment. By shaping Pandora's story as the Greek variant of this wider pattern, Zeus wasn't inventing something new. He was weaponizing a psychological archetype that already haunted the human imagination. Pandora's box wasn't just a Greek trap, it was humanity's universal prison, with gods across cultures all playing warden. Yet Pandora's story didn't remain confined to myth. Philosophers and poets reinterpreted her, often twisting the tale into something far more dangerous or liberating. Hesiod, writing in Works and Days, cast Pandora as humanity's downfall, the embodiment of divine punishment. But later thinkers weren't so quick to accept this caricature. To the Stoics, Pandora became a parable about fate, that suffering and endurance were inescapable parts of existence, necessary for growth. To others, she was a figure of awakening, the moment humanity stepped into full consciousness, no longer children in a divine nursery. By the Renaissance, Pandora was reborn as a symbol of forbidden knowledge itself, a cautionary tale for scholars who dared to challenge church authority. Humanists whispered that the box wasn't punishment, but a library. Each evil, a dangerous truth the gods wanted hidden. The message shifted from "don't open it" to "dare to know what they fear you discovering." And that raises the most radical possibility of all. What if Pandora wasn't humanity's destroyer, but humanity's first philosopher? A rebel who chose the unbearable weight of knowledge over the safety of ignorance? That question terrified theologians and rulers alike. Because if Pandora's act was not sin but courage, then curiosity wasn't humanity's curse, it was its birthright. And if you're ready to keep pulling back the curtain on the forbidden truths they never wanted revealed, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell, because we've only just begun to unseal what lies inside these ancient myths. When Christianity spread across the ancient Mediterranean, it didn't erase Pandora, it absorbed her. In sermons, Pandora became the Greek echo of Eve, the woman who brought suffering into the world. Preachers like Tertullian and Augustine drew direct parallels. Pandora opened the jar, Eve bit the fruit, and in both cases, humanity paid for female curiosity. This wasn't coincidence. The Church recognized the power of Pandora's tale and weaponized it. Suddenly, Greek myth wasn't just myth, it was validation of Christian doctrine. Both Eve and Pandora embodied the same lesson: that women's choices brought ruin and that rebellion against divine authority led only to misery. But here's the chilling twist. Some early Christian texts reveal unease with this neat parallel. The box, they whispered, wasn't a curse at all. It was a mirror of the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred container holding divine mysteries. One held commandments, the other forbidden truths, and just as the Ark was too dangerous to touch without divine permission, Pandora's box was too dangerous to open without consequence. The Church had two choices: admit that Pandora symbolized humanity's hunger for wisdom, or frame her as a monster whose act condemned the world. They chose the second. They always chose fear over freedom, because to admit the first would be to admit that curiosity, even rebellion, might be holy. But what if we've been looking at the myth backwards all along? What if Pandora's act wasn't the catastrophe, but the cure? Think about it. Humanity already lived under divine oppression. Zeus's plan wasn't to preserve paradise, it was to keep mortals ignorant, docile, and powerless. By opening the jar, Pandora didn't curse humanity, she exposed the lie. She forced the truth into daylight, even when it burned. And then there's hope, left inside, waiting. Traditional readings call it mercy or cruelty. But maybe hope wasn't a curse at all. Maybe it was the secret ingredient Zeus failed to contain. Evil escaped, yes, but so did the awareness that suffering wasn't the end. Hope became the seed of rebellion, the ember that refused to die, the whisper that no chain is eternal. Read this way, Pandora's act becomes the first rebellion against divine tyranny. She broke the monopoly the gods held on truth. She tore open the veil, no matter the cost. In doing so, she became not humanity's destroyer, but its liberator, the one who proved that forbidden doors can and should be opened. That's why the story had to be twisted. That's why her name had to be smeared for millennia. Because the forbidden truth was too dangerous. The gods weren't afraid of evil spilling out. They were afraid of humans realizing they didn't need permission to unlock the universe. Maybe the real danger was never the box, but the truth it revealed about what humans are truly capable of. That life has been spent in fear of personal power, that suffering has been accepted as inevitable when it was actually built by design, that the gods, the authorities, the puppet masters pulling society's strings were always afraid of who people might become if they stopped being afraid of what they might discover. Pandora didn't curse humanity when she opened that container. She freed everyone from ignorance and gave the gift of knowing that forbidden knowledge exists just beyond reach. Maybe it's time more boxes started getting opened. But here's the question that will linger. If Pandora's box was designed to control humanity, what other stories have been planted to keep people from claiming their true power? Drop those thoughts in the comments below. What forbidden knowledge do you think they're still hiding? Subscribe to Ancient Underworld and turn on notifications for more dark truths they never wanted anyone to discover.